Several prominent Russian journalists are warning of a new threat to U.S. national security. One America's Kristian Rouz has that story.
Exiled Russian journalists sent a stark warning to the US, saying the Kremlin's crackdown on political dissent is reaching beyond Russia's national borders. This could pose a threat to US national security, they say, as political kidnappings and assassinations of Russians abroad have caused collateral damage in the past.
If you are a political journalist, a commentator, and you take sides in this war, and I am taking Ukrainian side, well, it involves certain risks.
This comes after a security operation by Ukrainian counterintelligence revealed a hit list of 30 to 47 Russian journalists in exile abroad who corrupt Russian officials and oligarchs might want dead. Several prominent critics of the Kremlin, now exiled in Ukraine, point to the poisoning of former Russian spy Sergei Skripal in the UK earlier this year, which exposed the entire English town of Salisbury to a highly toxic nerve agent. The journalists say a similar incident could happen in the US or any other country, stressing the Kremlin's domestic policies are no longer a far-fetched issue for the American public to dismiss or ignore.
The Skripals were poisoned in Great Britain. Somebody else was killed in the U.S. To send a man to kill somebody is a matter of price of a plane ticket.
The exiled Russians say the Kremlin or even President Putin himself might not be directly interested in their death, but there could be people who are. For example, the assassination of Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov back in 2015 was found to have been perpetrated by Chechen citizens and without the Kremlin's proven involvement. Yet, the deep friendly ties between the Chechen leader and the Kremlin sparked a rife controversy and speculation.
Though Putin won't admit that this was done for him, they do it for him. There are different radical circles which are ready to bring him enemies' heads on a plate. Once the main enemies have been killed, they can start taking care of journalists. He was speaking ill of Vladimir Putin. He hates Russia. He's a Russophobe, and etc.
Among the issues driving Russian journalists into exile are the Kremlin's monopolization of political power, rife corruption, and offshoring of Russia's stolen national wealth, and, of course, the Kremlin's war in Ukraine.
I despise Putin. I'm not afraid of him. So, I got used to live with that.
A handful of low-budget independent Russian news outlets, active mostly on the internet and social media, are now reaching millions, discussing these and other controversial matters. And Kremlin allies might want to go after them, despite the broad geography, as opposition Russian journalists are scattered across the Baltic states, the UK, Israel, Australia and the US. This comes in the wake of a recent plot to eliminate Russian journalist Arkady Babchenko, foiled by the Ukrainian Secret Service at the early stages of its development. The exiled Russians say the Kremlin's methods of political harassment include physical assault, targeted chemical and nuclear attacks, as well as staged life-threatening incidents involving cars and electricity.
Mr. Emerson, Queen's Counsel, counsel for Alexander Litvinenko's widow, invited my attention to the reference by the Foreign Affairs Select Committee to the murder of Alexander Litvinenko as a miniature nuclear attack on the streets of London.
And there is no guarantee an innocent bystander does not become an unintended casualty. Kristian Rouz, One American News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.